Reiner.
Welcome back to the AI in Finance, where we distill the news on AI and relate it back to what does it mean for us in wealth management today, and what can we do based on that news. This month, we are talking about three stories that I think that show and help make us realize that the ground is shifting faster than we may realize. And one of the themes you'll probably hear me talk about a lot this year, as I talked about in my 2026 predictions that you can find on our website, is that this is the year of agents, of going from AI helping us be a cool little tool that tells us information to AI being a fantastic tool that does things for us. And the three stories we're talking about today is one, Google Chrome becomes agentic. Google Chrome, what we all use. We've talked about some other ones as internet browsers in the past that we'll talk about as well. It's also the end of free AI. We'll talk about that and what it means for us in wealth management. And finally, AI solved what was deemed an unsolvable math problem, which could be fearful, but I'm going to explain to you why you should not be fearful at all. So let's hop into it. Let's start with Chrome. So Google Chrome, which we all use to do our browsing, now embedded Gemini 3 into Chrome. It allows now for Autobrowse, an AI agent that navigates sites, logs in, and completes multiple step tasks autonomously. And it's available for Pro and Ultra users. But basically, we've seen on Google Chrome, if you look at your top part of your web browser, there's this like diamond shaped at the top part. If you click that, you're going to get this sidebar that allows for you to ask questions about what's on your website. That's what we've talked about in the past with a tool called Perplexity Comment. But now what Chrome has done is it's taken an even further step forward. It's now allowing you to use that same chat pattern or that same chat window, but to ask it to go do tasks for you. Go find me a hotel in Dallas, Texas for this date and book me, and I'm a Marriott Rewards person. And guess what it's going to do? It's going to do it. I did a review of one of Perplexity Comment where I used a similar tool within that internet browser to read my emails and respond to my emails and then send my emails, and I was able to do that. That is now what Google Chrome is able to do. And so you have the ability to have cross-app applications. It's able to go across all the different applications that you have. And there is, like I said, competition. You have Perplexity Comment, you have Microsoft Copilot, and then which is in the Edge browser, and then you also have OpenAI with its browser called Atlas. I think that this is showing that a few things. One, browser wars are back. Now it's a browser war, right? Remember when we used to have like Mozilla Firefox, and we had, I think there was one called Opera, which I think is still around, and then you had Chrome, and then you had Microsoft Internet Explorer. It's like, which one do we use? And then Chrome just like captured the entire freaking market like they did with everything else. And so now we have that with AI agents. And I think that what it also shows is how we browse the internet is changing. And if we're trying to stay true to the old way, I'm just saying that this is showing that there is a new way of how we're going to browse and move through the internet in the future. I think what it means for us in wealth management, though, is that now our clients are likely using Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. And Microsoft Edge and Google Chrome both now have this agentic wave and this agentic capability, which their research is now reaching superpower levels. What does that mean? Well, what that means is that now they can, instead of having to go to Google and search financial advisors near me and then go and click on every website and learn about them, they can instead go to the agent and say, I am this type of person. This is what I like. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm looking for a financial advisor that helps service retirees, and I'd like to find people like that. And boom, the agent's going to go and sift through all of those websites and come back with information. Now they have a lot of power in their hands. That is the client, which then means that there's a lot that we need to think about as firms in regards to how we structure our websites, how we get seen through that, how we talk about who we serve, etc. The other idea is information delivery is no longer our differentiator, right? And we've talked about that with AI, and it's just continuing to go that way, right? A lot of the pushback when we talked about it earlier was, well, they have to go use the AI tool, and they're likely to just go to Google and search on the web. But now, when they go to Google on their internet browser and they search, they're going to have more AI-generated content, but then they're also going to start using this agent that then can go scan all those websites. So they're probably not going to even click on your website, which then now makes you think about how you do your marketing and search engine optimization and everything of that nature. And finally, the last thing is that what this means is that we need to be informed on AI as advisors, right? We will outcompete the AI resistant advisors. And what I mean by is, I think we all use Google Chrome on a daily basis. Start playing around with these tools. Start seeing what it is so that when a client says that they used it, you're not taken back in the defensive, that you're like, yeah, I've used it too. And it's really great. I love using it for X, Y, and Z. Where I've seen it struggle is A, B, and C. And it's not necessarily to say that they shouldn't use it. It's just that you can now talk on the same level, and it's a connection point. We have to remember trust is connection, and it gives us a connection point. And we know that more people are using AI across demographics, age-wise, wealth spectrum-wise, etc. And so it's just something good for us. And so what are some action items? Well, first I would say go become an AI Pro, a Google AI Pro user. It's $20 a month, especially if you use Google Chrome, and start using the Autobrowse functionality. Just see how it works. And just remember that you using it today is the worst that it will ever be, because they continue to invest time and money into it. And then I would test your firm through the AI eyes. That's a tough one. The AI eyes, right? Test your firm through it. Be like, hey, I'm looking for a financial advisor in my area. This one, look, and see if your firm comes up. And if not, then maybe work with your marketing team, work with your consultant, work with some other people on your team to figure out how to get yourself, shown up in that search, and keep trying it until you do, and then try different ones. So be your own advocate for your firm. Don't just let your digital storefront go unnoticed. And then finally, start learning now. Clients are already doing it. So spend 30 minutes a day. That's what I would suggest. Spend 30 minutes a day and just play around with some AI tools. Don't just ask it questions. Like, use it to augment things that you're doing and see how it does. That's what I would suggest. All right. Second headline: the end of free AI is coming to an end. It's not over. It's just kind of coming to the end. It's coming to the end. What do I mean? Well, ChatGPT just launched two versions, or a new version, a new tier, an $8 a month tier. And then on their free tier, they launched ads. Their free tier and their $8 a month tier. Here's the thing. OpenAI burned $5 billion with a B in 2024 on $13 billion of revenue, right? So 70 cents investor money per dollar was burned from that standpoint. And so they started and launched this ChatGPT Go at $8, which is less than, I think, the $10 plan. And if you want ad free, then you have to pay $20. And what does all this mean, right? I think that they are the first one. They're getting a lot of backlash. If you saw, right around the Super Bowl, Anthropic, who is the company behind Claude, came out with an article around ads and calling out OpenAI. But you have to think that Google, Meta, and all these other AI companies are going to start putting ads in their AI to start making money. I mean, Google did it very elegantly in search back in the early 2000s when that came out. It's just the nature of it. But it's also a reminder of the trend of how VC-backed companies tend to work. And we just need to be cognizant of what the past has taught us about what the future will hold for us. And what I mean by that? Well, let's think back to Uber. Uber back in the early days. If you remember when Uber really first came out, it was so cheap to get a driver. It was like $13. And you could go from Georgia to California, basically. It was remarkable. So cheap to do. Now, for me just to go to my neighbor's house is like $45 on Uber. Like, I don't know why I would take Uber, but if I were, it's going to cost me $45. It's like 3x the cost. And we say, well, why is that? They have more drivers. It's more well-known. Well, what they did is they brought you in at $13, made Uber so necessary, addicted to it, that then they could, when they needed to go public and become profitable, become a real company, they then had to start paying for it. Because what was happening was venture capitalist money was subsidizing the need for the consumer to pay, because they wanted the consumer to get addicted. And then once the VC money went away, which is going public and having to show profitability, then they increase it to what really the costs were. And that's what's happening in AI. AI is starting to find this need of getting to profitability, because they've tapped a lot of their sources. I mean, when you're raising billions of dollars, you start to tap a lot of your sources for future income, which means that you need, or future capital raises, which means that you need profitability. And so ads are a way to do that if they want to keep the cost of AI low. But what I believe actually happens is that the cost of AI is going to go higher. What we are paying right now for AI is the cheapest that we will ever pay, in my opinion, for AI. And that's something that we all need to be cognizant of, because I believe that as a business, we need to start building our business around AI tools, which means that we need to start now budgeting for the cost of AI to be more than what the cost is today, right? Because once the VC backs out, then the companies are going to be on their own, and they're going to have to start charging more, because the cost of delivering what they're delivering is more than the cost of what we are paying today. So what does this mean for us in wealth management? Well, it means that our costs are going to go up. You're going to need to be using these tools. It's just going to be part of doing business. Your employees are going to expect it. Your clients are going to expect it, which means that you need to start budgeting now. You need to start planning for maybe double, maybe triple in cost. And where I think this is point number 2, where we can find that is in our SaaS bloat, software as a service. Our softwares that we're using, we probably have a lot of bloat there that can uncover some AI budget. We've talked about how AI is really disrupting the software industry right now, and the need for software, and that idea of like the per seat licenses. And so what we have opportunities is go through what we're using as softwares and see what is needed, see what can be, killed and combined, right? What can you combine? What are some softwares that you're paying for that you're not using all the tools, but they can do something that you're paying another software to do, and kill that other one that's only doing one thing and combine it. That's how you can create some of this budget, and start doing that now as opposed to being reactionary when you become addicted to the AI and your processes are built around the AI and you need it, and then they increase prices. And if you say, well, this is why I'm not even touching AI, well, then that's a whole nother podcast that we can talk about, but it's not a route that I would suggest for where the future is going. And finally, I would say pick vendors strategically, right? We've got to think about, companies that have deep pockets, that are integrated, that have open API infrastructure, that have a roadmap for AI integration, that have sustainable business models, right? And also things that we don't think that we could vibe code as well, because that is something that is on the horizon of just vibe coding what we may need, meaning that we can just use AI to build us a personalized version of the specific aspect of a software that we use. So some action steps: run that SaaS audit like yesterday. Just go and pull 12 months of expenses that you have and ask, are you using it? Could it be combined? Could AI do this? And if we were to stop using this, what would break? And analyze that and start seeing if you can take some technologies off of your budget today. Build a 3-year AI budget projection. Start to build AI expenses as a line item into your budget. That way you're not blown away when it occurs and changes. So build that out and consolidate around your platforms, right? Not point solutions, like consolidate around fewer solutions. Now there's a push and pull with this, right? Because there's this idea that, well, we're now going to get like really hinged on one software and they could really gouge us with prices. And then there's this idea, well, it makes it easier for us to evolve in the AI world. And so I'm not saying to go to an all-in-one solution. I'm just saying if you have 20 technologies, maybe go to 10. Maybe go to 10 and then add in some AI technologies. All right. The final story is AI solves the unsolvable. Yeah, this is a research paper that I found that I thought was super interesting. The whole AI world, if you just look over the last 18 months, right, we've had hallucinations, we've had fake photos, we've had robotic text, buggy code, we've had all this stuff. But now we've gotten to this point where, Claude just released Opus 4.6 and OpenAI released a new model, and these models are crazy intelligent. And there was this organization called Axiom Prover. They had a mathematician, Dawei Chen didn't work with them, but he talked to this company. He has stuck on this one mathematical problem for years, and he tried to use ChatGPT and all these other AI tools to help solve the problem, and he wasn't able to do it for years as it continued to even get better with models. Axiom Prover, though, was the company that solved it overnight. Literally, Chen talked to one of the individuals at Axiom Prover the day before at a conference. The guy went back to his hotel, put in the problem, the parameters, the proofs, everything of that nature. I remember proofs when I was in high school. Those were the worst. When you had to prove that the angle was 30 degrees or whatever it was, that was the worst. They put in the proof, they put in everything, and he had the solution by the next morning. A problem that was taking years for them to solve. And then they went on to solve 4 previously unsolved problems. And how it worked is that it read natural language problems. So it translates the formal proof. So it takes what the proof strategy is, like, here's what the outcome needs to be. Here's what you need to do to prove it. Now go solve this problem. And it reasons from first principles. So it continues to like reason, which is really like a hard thing for AI that's had, is like this ability to stay cognitively, open for a long period of time. That's like a context window. Usually it just like breaks early on. It would like have a short context window. Now it's gotten longer. And so some of the innovations that's happened over the past couple of years has allowed for that ability for AI to think longer. Whereas in the past, it could only think for a few seconds and then it had to give an answer or it broke. Now it can think for hours and sometimes days as well. And it was not pattern matching because there's no historical data on this. It literally found a new way to solve it, of a problem. And it reasoned with constraints and it solved this problem. And so, I think what this means for us in this industry is a few things. One, AI can now solve problems you thought were impossible. So for those that continue to believe that AI doesn't give us the right answers, I would encourage us to go and explore AI now today, and then tomorrow, because tomorrow will be smarter than it is today. And it now can solve problems that we thought were unsolvable. So you think about like complex estate planning, you think about multivariable optimization, you think about tax strategy, generational wealth transfer. You can start delegating a little bit more of this to AI. The second point that I'll make, and I'll make my final point because that's kind of like the punchline. The second point is the capability frontier is moving fast. I can't. We talked about it on this show multiple times. How fast AI is moving. It is like doubling every 7 months. I think it's even faster than that, but it's moving at a pace that is unimaginable, and it's hard to keep up with. And I can understand when someone's like, it's so overwhelming, and I get it. And I don't expect everybody to stay up with it. I don't know if anybody can actually stay up with it. There may be only very few people. All I can suggest is don't avoid it. Just try to learn with it, and just take a few minutes every day to try to learn with it a little bit. You've got to continue. And the best way to learn is don't read about it. Use it and try to incorporate it in the way that you work. But here's what it means, the final point on what it means. Yes, this was solved an amazing problem. Everybody's going to point to how AI is able to solve this problem that was unsolvable. It created a solution that had no steps, no understanding, no ability before, and it created a solution. It created something new, but it didn't really create something new. It had a how to, like, the proof structure. It basically knew that there was a specific outcome. It had the starting inputs, and it knew it had to get to a specific outcome, and it was able to reason through that. That is super impressive. Don't get me wrong, but to imagine something new, it hasn't done that. To imagine a new way to serve clients, imagine a new way to grow your business, to imagine a new way to do financial planning, whatever it may be, can't solve that. It's solving based on knowledge of what has been done. And that to me makes me smile. Like, this is amazing technology that's really going to help us, but it's not going to take away that one thing that is ours, which is imagination and creativity. So here's what we should do as advisors. What's next? I suggest running a monthly what's new possible experiment. Just like what's newly possible with AI. And just take once a month, spend maybe 30 minutes or an hour trying something new with AI and see what it does. And just spend that as a time for learning. I think that we've talked about this in some of the podcasts on the Future Proof Advisor podcast as well, is separate optimization from imagination problems. If it's an optimizing problem, figure out how to let AI optimize those aspects. If it's an imagination problem, let AI give you the information, but then use your mind and your cognitive ability to imagine the new frontier. Spend time there. That's where our best use of time is. And lastly, is build AI capability assumption challenge. Means that every time that you think that AI can't do that, go and see if AI can. Just try it. See what happens. Provide it the same context that you would provide to someone like an intern or everything else, and see if it can do it. And you may be shocked. So the thread is that AI is moving faster than we can imagine, solving more complicated problems. It's doing more work for us. And the cost of all of this is going to just start going a little bit higher every day. And I think that if you're waiting for stability, you're waiting for this plateau, it may happen, but I think that you're going to wait for a long period of time because there's a lot of things evolving and compounding based on every new evolution that happens every day, every minute of every day. So I think that the advisors, as we always talk about on the show, the advisors that will thrive, the future-proof advisors, are the ones that are going to stay curious, the ones that are going to learn by doing, the ones that are going to keep on exploring, independent of all of this whirlwind of news and information that is coming at us. Hopefully, we slow that down just a little bit here during these episodes every month. So with that, stay well, be well, and keep on exploring.